So, street photography etiquette. This is something that I've put some thought into, particularly because I want to be mentally prepared if any confrontation ever happens when I'm out on the street. And it has happened in the past, and I'm sure it will happen in the future. So I think knowing like how you want to act and how you want to present yourself like before it happens will, help guide you and help you actually act that way out in the streets when something happens. So I think you should have some like respect and manners and etiquette, like regardless of the situation. But when I think of etiquette in street photography, I definitely think of it in relation to getting stopped or being confronted on the street by someone else while you're doing street photography. So here are some of my thoughts on reacting to confrontation in street photography. So if you do street photography long enough, like I think it will happen. And I guess if you're shooting a certain type of street photography, like you can avoid it. But the type of street photography that I do, it's pretty up close. I use wide angle lenses. And so I've had, I guess, multiple confrontations. So I actually think it's natural for people to be like confused about what you're doing as a street photographer. Like if I had no idea what street photography was and someone took a photo of me on the street, I'd probably, be a little taken back or maybe even weirded out. So I think having in mind and knowing that people who react, it could just be like a knee-jerk response, and they're legitimately just like confused as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think knowing that, or just like keeping that in the back of your mind, it like serves a good purpose, because if you don't, then you may think that you may just like snap or like have an equal bad reaction that is unnecessary, and you can escalate the situation or make it worse. And I think if you come at it from an angle of like respecting everyone else's point of view and keeping that in mind, then like you give the person the benefit of the doubt, and I think your interactions will just be more positive. So in regards to like how to carry yourself, or how I think you should, or how I would like to carry myself when someone reacts to me or confronts me on the street, is to be as calm and respectful as possible. And a lot of people, or I mean, you just might find yourself in some cases where the person on the other end of it doesn't make that easy. But yeah, like if you give these things some thought, like I think that you can help yourself like mentally prepare before doing street photography. And thinking through these things will just like help you react the way that you ultimately want to, rather than having your temper come out or something. So I also think it's good to have like a standard response that you have to anyone who confronts you on the street when you're doing street photography. So this could be saying like a compliment about like what the person is wearing, like how they dress or their outfit. Like I think that disarms people and lets them know that like you're like a friendly presence and not someone who is like trying to harm them. Another thing that I've always kind of said whenever like I'm confronted when doing street photography is like I tell them that I'm working on a street photography project. And like I think in these cases, like people will give you the benefit of the doubt, and sometimes be interested in like the work that you're producing, after they, get over like kind of the initial confusion. Regardless of what you say, I think it's good to have like your own response, like your own personal response that's like true, to you and what you're doing. That way, like you don't feel like you're lying, because you're not. And like I think, people would be able to tell like if you're being like disingenuous. So yeah, like I think it's just good to think about like what you want to say in these situations and kind of have it ready. So with all this said, I think it also brings up cases where someone is not being reasonable. And I have had this happen, where someone just like loses it, just like loses their mind, and I don't know, thinks you're like part of the CIA and you're like investigating them or whatever crazy reason. Like if someone is legitimately like, verbally abusing you or like threatening you or whatever, like I don't think you're under no obligation to like sit there and take abuse. Like you always have the option of walking away, and hopefully they don't follow you. What this comes down to for me really is just like showing people respect. I don't take photos that would like intentionally embarrass someone. I don't like see the value in that. I also think like if you're making someone uncomfortable, like I don't try to intentionally do that either. And if I feel like someone has gotten uncomfortable, then like I'll move on. But yeah, I think it really just comes back down to like respect and treating people the way that you would like to be treated. I know that street photography is like a little outside the norm in terms of like, I don't know what people do in public places, but I think there's like a lot of value in street photography as an art form, as a way to document history and places. And so I think it's worth it, despite, maybe making someone here and there a little uncomfortable. I think that to do street photography, you should have some street smarts. Some of it you learn through life, and then some of it you learn just through doing street photography. So one thing that comes to mind is like in regards to photographing kids. Like I think that some of the best street photographs have included kids, like Alex Webb's photos, and many other photographers have like featured kids as subjects in their street photos. And these days, I think things have changed quite a bit since those times. I think parents are a lot more guarded about their children, especially in the United States. Yeah, so like I personally don't really take photos of kids like unattended, like with their parents. I think it's fine. If you're going to be taking photos of like just kids, like I think I would get like, permission from their parents. But yeah, it's definitely a touchy subject. And things have just completely changed since like, the 1960s, 70s, 80s. Like parents would just like let their kids, they would give them a lot more freedom than they have today. So regardless of whether that's a good or a bad thing, it's just like something I keep in the back of my mind. And I don't want to like upset any parents. The other issue that comes to mind when it comes to like the street smarts side of like etiquette in street photography is like be wary of where you're photographing. I learned this the hard way. Like photographing street vendors in Brazil when I was living in Rio de Janeiro. These people who sell things on the street, like they're not always doing it legally. They might be selling, illegal or stolen stuff. So I think it comes down to like knowing a little bit about the neighborhood and area that you're photographing in, especially if you're like photographing abroad, not in the United States, or just, an unknown country to you. But I just say this because you can get yourself in all sorts of trouble if you're not paying attention to that sort of thing. So when it comes to street photography etiquette, it really just comes down to respect for me. Very simple, just respect others, treat people like you would like to be treated, Bambi rule, and that's it.